In order to get a good color grade, you need to have control over every single portion of your image. Some of these things could include things in the foreground and the background, shirt color, but the most important are skin tones. Now I want to be clear, this video is not about getting right skin tones or getting the right color grade of an object. This video is about getting the right selection. I've struggled with this in the past where I try to select one object and Davinci tries selecting other objects with the same hue, and then I have to go in and start masking and then tracking the shot if something's moving, and it's just a whole hassle. Now I've discovered a module that helps you select what you want way better than any alternative. So let's begin. Up here at the top I have a free power grade that you can find on my website that just kind of gives a base outline of what the look's gonna be. And the module that I'm describing are these three nodes right here. Now the three nodes break down as follows. The first one is an output color transform node. The second one is our qualifier node, which will actually make the selection. And the last one is whatever adjustment we want to make. In this case, it'd be skin tones. Now before I show this in action, I want to show what it actually looks like if you were to just select skin tones normally. I'll move these off to the side for now. Piping from whatever exposure we have here, split into our color grade, and then back for our finishing stuff. Normally, the most popular method is going into the qualifier and just kind of grabbing the skin right here. Now if I press Shift H, it'll show me what it's actually qualifying. But you'll see that when I drag my cursor over his face, this is about the best that I can get it. If I try to select more of the skin, it starts selecting his shirt, it starts selecting the background. Like even if I select this portion, which is probably the best I can do right now, it's selecting all of the grass area. And I could try messing with the qualifier, changing the hue values, maybe the width is too much, trying to narrow it down, and then trying to mess with the blur and then the clean white and the black. As you can see, it's not really selecting it as nicely as you want. There's a lot of residue left over. And the reason for this is because the image is in log. So if I unselect my qualifier here, it's basically all gray. So the software can't distinguish between different colors that it's looking at. You know, if I see the final grade, I can see his face is a lot more orange, a lot more red than the background, which is definitely not quite the same hue. It's a lot more obvious what the distinction between the colors is. So we're gonna use that to our advantage. I'm gonna grab this node, I'm just gonna set it aside for now, and I'm gonna grab the output color transform node and attach it here. If I press Shift H, this is the information that the node is outputting. It's taking in the log color and it's outputting a color transform back to Rec 709. Now even though this isn't our final grade, it gives the computer a much better idea of the distinction of the colors in our finalized output. So now if I bring in the qualifier and then I press Shift H, you'll see that the qualifier takes the information of that node, which means that now we can take our qualifier and we can actually start selecting our skin tones. And notice immediately how much better that is. When I click on the same spot on his face, it actually selects his face and not the background. Isn't that amazing? So now we can really refine what our selection is. Oh, but you might be wondering why we didn't do it for the output color transform node. Even though I'm pressing Shift H and it's showing me a colored image, it's showing me the output. Meanwhile, the qualifier actually takes the input, which is still in log. Now the final problem is that we can't just send the qualifier directly to our parallel node, because then we'll get an image like this. That's because we're sending a log image to an output color transform node into another output color transform node later down the line. We need to get the information of the qualifier and send it to a log node. So I'm going to take the blue masking output and send it to this node right here, and then feed the node the actual information of the image being log. We'll get the mask that we want in log. And then now we can output this node into the parallel node. And now we can grade this image, so if we want to change the skin tones, let's do something drastic, just to show what I actually mean. Now hit Shift H, we'll see that the rest of the image stays the same, but the skin tones are the only ones that actually change. Let me reset that and let me just give an overview of what we've done. So what we want is a log image with good qualified skin tones. So we'll take the log image from our exposure stuff and pipe it into an output transform node. Then after that, we'll take the qualifier and actually qualify whatever we want in that image, and then send just the alpha into our actual grade. And now we can just grade and adjust our skin tones as needed. Now this module is very, very useful, not just for skin tones. I can show you another example. Let's go to this shot over here. We have a nice red car, But let's try selecting it with the old method. Yeah, we'll notice that no matter how much I try to select just the red of the car, which to me, it's pretty obvious that the car is red, but the computer just doesn't know that. It's selecting a lot of things, not just the car. But now if we hit undo for that, and then now pipe the output into the skin tone here, go to the qualifier node, and then now I try to qualify the car, we'll notice immediately that it does a great job at selecting it. It's a little trickier on the edges, you still have to get it right. At the end of the day, some masking is going to be required, just the inevitability of certain shots. But it does a really better job at selecting at least this side of the car. And we can create multiple selections and combine them. But the point is that we can select an object that we want a lot better, and now we can change, for example, the hue of the car and make it, I'm going to go drastic, just make it green. Now, one of the reasons that I call it modular is that you can use the output color transform node for many different qualifications that you want to make. So, for example, if we want to qualify skin tones here, Shift H, we can select the skin tone that we want. It's a little hard because it's a wide shot, but just for the sake of example, let's say that this is the skin tone. Let's just make it really, really orange. Now, let's say we want to select the blue of her dress. Instead of duplicating all 3 nodes, we only need to duplicate the last 2, because the information from the output color transform node can be used multiple times. So I'll move the selects over here, and I'll pipe the output color transform into this node, and then I'll pipe the alpha output into this selects node. Let me copy this qualifier, holding down Option and then dragging. And then now if I hit Shift H and then now select her dress very nicely, grabbing the log output and moving it to the selects. And now I can change her dress to be something green. So you'll notice that we only had to duplicate the last 2 nodes, which just kind of helps keeping things a little cleaner. Now again, this way of doing things is a little bit more complicated. It looks very messy with all the wires and the extra nodes, but I promise you that it is so much better than qualifying a log image and trying to deal with all of the extra things that get added to it and then having to mask around it. But this has saved me a bunch of time, and it's really helpful for me, and I haven't found anybody on the internet kind of putting this out there, so I just wanted to share this. Thank you for watching.